Movies, television, books.
Music, games, comics.
Pop culture is one of the things makes life worth living.
And pop culture can be a window into your soul.
Welcome to Blew My Mind,
where Shrink Tank contributors share personal,
mind-blowing
pop culture experiences.
I'm Dr. Craig Pohlman, neurodevelopmental psychologist, author, aspiring game show host, Trekkie, and Yoda disciple.
And I'm Juliet Kuhnle, therapist, writer, singer, and Duke basketball fan.
You've done a lot of singing in your life. We've talked about that before. Do you have any acting experience?
I do. I did a lot of plays when I was younger. And one of my biggest regrets is that I stopped in high school. And
Really?
I wish that I had continued with musical theater. But I didn't.
When I was in 6th grade, I actually played God.
Wow.
Yeah. The university, Montana State University, near where I grew up, some film students were putting together this movie, and they wanted to have a child play God, so they outfitted me in this white tuxedo and had a fairly small but yet substantial role in this movie.
That was your one and only.
That was my peak.
You might as well stop there.
Exactly.
In this episode, we are talking about child acting performances in movies that blew our minds.
And there have been a lot of great ones over the years. The youngest actor, did you know, to win an Oscar was Tatum O'Neill, who was 10 years old when she won Best Supporting Actress for Paper Moon in 1973. Have you seen Paper Moon?
No.
It is so good. It is so good. She plays the daughter of her real-life father, Ryan O'Neill, and as a 10-year-old, it is mind-blowing the comedic timing she has. It's a movie.
An Oscar at 10, that's amazing.
Yeah, and that year, she actually beat out Linda Blair, who was just a few years older, and Linda Blair, of course, was in The Exorcist.
Which I have seen.
Yeah, and she has that character has more of an arc, because she goes from being a nice, sweet, innocent girl to being, like, really scary.
Yeah.
So it's incredible to think of these kids.
Yeah, it's impressive. Why don't you share yours first?
Okay, so again, I'm going to the 80s, and a movie I really liked from that era that came out in 1986 was Stand By Me. And a performance in that movie that really stood out was from River Phoenix, who tragically died a few years later when he was only 23 years old. He played Chris, who is this really nice kid, but from, shall we say, the wrong side of the tracks. And the movie, it's an adventure story. Chris and 3 of his friends, his best friend Gordy, who's played by Will Wheaton, they go on this adventure to find a dead body. This boy has been hit by, I believe, a train, and they have reason to believe that the boy who's gone missing, that they know where the body is. So they're going to go try to find this body and be heroes because they discovered him. And so it's kind of a road trip in a way, because they have all these adventures along the way and these really compelling conversations, as they're walking, as they're swimming, around the campfire, and you get to know them so, so well. So all the kids are terrific, but River Phoenix, again, he was really awesome. And I want to play a scene when it's just heartbreaking. Chris is talking to his buddy Gordy about a time that he stole some milk money at school, and everybody assumed he did it because he was the, quote, bad kid, and he had stolen it, but then he decided to give it back, and then something even more heartbreaking happened. So let's take a listen.
Maybe I was sorry and I tried to give it back. You tried to give it back? Maybe. Just maybe. And maybe I took it to old lady Simons and told her, and the money was all there. But I still got a 3-day vacation because it never showed up. And maybe the next week, old lady Simons had this brand new skirt on when she came to school.
Yeah, it was brown and had dots on it.
Yeah. So let's just say that I stole the milk money, but old lady Simons stole it back from me. Just suppose that I told this story. Me, Chris Chambers, kid brother to Eyeball Chambers. Do you think that anyone would have believed it?
So sad, because this teacher took advantage of him and took advantage of his bad reputation and stole the money back from him. And later in this conversation, he breaks down.
I just wish that I could go someplace where nobody knows me.
This movie is an adaptation of a Stephen King story, and like the best of Stephen King, it's about relationships. It's about childhood and connecting and just sort of discovering yourself. it's a fantastic movie. I can't recommend it highly enough. And River Phoenix, man, he was.
Well, I was going to
terrific.
say I've not seen the movie. Surprise, surprise. But even just listening to that clip, I mean, the vulnerability, and it makes it his personal story, just that much more tragic. What a misunderstood little dude.
Right. Yeah. You know, and I know your daughter's had acting experience. It's just incredible that children can achieve that level of artistry when they're portraying characters. I mean, it's one thing just to go out and act like yourself, but to assume another character and go through an emotional arc.
That's really fascinating.
They can't have had much training. I mean, they obviously haven't been around that long.
No, that's impressive. I will have to watch it.
All right, so let's go to a movie that you have seen.
So, just, we've established that I don't watch a lot of movies, but I also definitely do not rewatch movies, except for this one.
All right.
I love the movie Home Alone. Who's with me?
I love it. I love it.
Okay, great. So Macaulay Culkin in this movie, total classic. I don't remember when I first saw it, but I do remember immediately loving the movie. So I might have myself been an angsty adolescent who knew all the ways that my family had wronged me, how much better off I'd be without them. Right. So I really resonated with this movie. I loved his attitude. I loved his sassiness, his snarkiness, his directness, and then how bad the family felt. So as we all know, this poor kiddo is left by himself in his home when his family has to zoom off to Paris for the Christmas holiday, and he has to fend for himself.
I took a shower washing every body part with actual soap, including all my major crevices, including in between my toes and in my belly button, which I never did before but sort of enjoyed. I washed my hair with the Don't Formula shampoo and used cream rinse for that just wash shine. I can't seem to find my toothbrush, so I'll pick one up when I go out today. Other than that, I'm in good shape.
You know, Macaulay Culkin, he's not exactly Shakespearean in this role.
It's so good.
I mean, I like I said up front, I love this movie. I watch it with my kids every Christmas. And he's adorable. Macaulay Culkin is.
He's so resourceful. He's so clever. He's fiercely independent. He brings the bad guys to justice. I mean, what's not to love?
Right. There's a lot to love. I'm not sure how great an actor he really is. He's a good comic actor. I'll give you that. He's a good comic actor in this movie.
That's all we needed because he hooked it. Hey, and also, I love Christmas music, right? So it's a great soundtrack. It's just it's an all-around really good, solid, classic movie.
So what's Macaulay? You know, this was 1990. What's Macaulay Culkin been up to these days or since?
What an intriguing dude that he has turned out to be. So after these films, he had this and then My Girl, right? And then he was in Home Alone 2, but he did not agree to the third installment.
He was getting a little too old at that point.
And I think he went off and did some creepy horror movie or something. Then he resurfaced a few years later when Michael Jackson's trial. He was defending Michael Jackson.
Oh, they were buddies.
And then he kind of went into hiding for 8 years or more. And we found out that he was dating Mila Kunis.
What?
I know.
What?
I mean, so while we were busy
you kidding me?
thinking he was some weirdo hidden somewhere, he was just doing his thing. Yep. So, and now...
That, more than anything else we've talked to, that blows my mind.
Right.
That he was with Mila Kunis.
Yeah, I don't understand. And now he has a podcast and a website called Bunny Ears, which is basically, from what I can tell, just kind of like a lifestyle blog. But that's what he's doing now. I mean, so he's come a long way from those days.
You know, the big payoff of this movie, there are a lot of sweet moments, and he's coming to miss his family, which he hated so much at the beginning because he's all by himself. But, you know, you got the two burglars who are trying to break in. So the big payoff is when they actually try to break into the house and he has to defend the house. And it's just like cartoon action, and he's got all sorts of booby traps. And it's really incredibly funny and satisfying.
Marv,
Harry?
why the hell did you take your shoes off?
Why the hell you dressed like a chicken?
I'm up here, you morons! Come and get me! You guys give up, or you're thirsty for more?
You know, there's such glee in how he
Right.
taunts these guys.
Right. And so this is actually a large part of my client base that I see now are these little 8 and 9-year-olds, right? That are maybe a little angry, maybe a little anxious, definitely feel like they know it all. They got it under control. Like the family doesn't know what they're doing, right? So it resonates with me, man. You can't make fun of me for that.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I don't know, sort of every little kid's fantasy is to set up your house as a fort with using all your toys and everything as weapons, basically weapons of mass destruction
Very
and
fierce.
repelling the absolutely clueless adults. So yeah, that was really great. So let's wrap up. If you're listening and have a thought about child actor performances or would like to share an idea for a show topic, please email us at feedback@shrinktank.com. And by the way, you can also find links to Home Alone and Stand By Me on our website.
Our audio engineer and editor is Sean Beck.
And one reason we love Sean is the childlike wonder with which he views the world.
Aww. Be sure to check out all of our content, including articles, videos, quizzes, and surveys on our website.
Shrinktank.com is the place for all of your psychology and pop culture needs. Until next time, I'm Craig Pohlman.
I'm Juliet Kuhnle.
And this is Blew My Mind.
Shrinktank.com